Hi, my name is Ken Vong. Today, on behalf of the Manitoba Legal Clinic for the Arts, I'll be going over the basics of a contract. Broadly speaking, contracts are written or verbal agreements between two parties that can be legally enforced. They are used in many business transactions. Employment agreements, non-disclosure agreements, licensing agreements, and service agreements are all examples of contracts. In this video, we will focus on the importance of contracts for independent artists. For a contract to be binding, it must contain an offer, consideration, and acceptance. The offer is what the person initiating the contract wants to provide to or request from the other party. An offer needs to be clearly defined, and usually for artists, the offer is the work of art itself. Consideration is what the person making the offer will receive in return. This can be payment, a service, or anything that has some value. Consideration is important because we cannot have a contract if only one party is giving something to the other. There needs to be some exchange of value. Acceptance is simply a clear confirmation of the offer. It must be deliberate and received by the other party. Beyond the components of a contract, there are three important factors to consider. First is consent. Both parties entering the contract need to know what they are agreeing to. We cannot have a contract that relies on deceiving the other person. Capacity is the next element. There are some individuals who are not in a position to make legal decisions. This could be because they are too young or they are not of sound mind. This is not a common occurrence, but still important to be aware of. Finally, we have legality. This just means that whatever is agreed upon within the contract has to be legal to do. A contract cannot be enforced if it promotes any behaviors that would get somebody arrested. Consent, capacity, and legality all must be considered for a contract to be valid. If you're missing any of the three, the agreement is not binding. In Manitoba, a legally binding agreement can sometimes be recognized before a formal contract has been finalized. This can occur when there's written communication, be it over text, email, or direct message on social media that includes an offer, consideration, and acceptance. It is vital to be careful about how you communicate with a client before a contract is drafted, and to be cautious about making any explicit promises. There are many types of contracts that artists can use to help protect their rights. Some situations where a contract is helpful include when an artist is planning on collaborating with another artist on a project, participating in an artist-in-residence program, having a gallery sell their work on consignment, licensing their work to another party for use in marketing products or other purposes, or giving a live performance at a venue. One of the most common contracts utilized by independent artists is a service agreement, a contract that outlines what the artist will create and what they will receive in return. A service agreement can be used when accepting a commission. Artists can have a standard service agreement template they consistently use and simply change out the details for new clients, or a unique service agreement can be drafted for each specific project. Entering into a contract before work on a project begins protects artists from being exploited for their work. It is a preventative measure that will make handling any disputes much simpler. Contracts ensure that the artist is compensated fairly and also ensures the client is not surprised by what they will receive. Contracts are flexible and include as much or as little detail as the two parties see fit, but there are some universal terms that almost every service contract should include. Description of service. Whether it be a logo, photo shoot, or sculpture, it is a good idea to clearly outline what is being done for the client. Knowing exactly what is being ordered prevents clients from demanding more or refusing payments once the project is complete. Compensation. Include the pricing within the contract. It is possible to include a clause that provides remedies if payment is late or withheld. It is also important to consider the expenses of creating the art. What materials and tools are necessary? Who will be providing these things? These details can factor into compensation. Timeline. The contract should include a realistic expectation of when the project will be completed, as well as when payment is expected. Intellectual property rights. A contract can cover the reproduction or distribution of work. The artist should consider what rights they wish to retain and how the client can or cannot use the work moving forward. These terms just scratch the surface of what can be included in a service contract. There are many terms that can change based on the industry, the artist, and the client. Contracts are an essential tool for artists who sell their work. Drafting an effective contract before taking on work will save time and stress if any complications arise. It is also a good idea to understand the basics of contracts in case one is presented to you. The Manitoba Legal Clinic for the Arts can help artists review or draft contracts to ensure their interests are being protected. Thanks for watching.